We shall prevail.
Alright. Can we do any looting? A little bit. Gloves of Endurance. Whenever the wearer of these gloves gets an injury or falls unconscious in combat, their allies gain a +1 bonus to damage. Nice. Mantle of Heroism requires an Iconoclast, which is not the direction we're going. Each heroic act used in battle increases the wearer's dodge by 20% until the end of combat. That could be really good for Abelard, because he's Iconoclast. And then Blade Shard, a blade made from a mysterious metal that shimmers with unnatural colors. Is that the blade that Votbeer was using? Could be. Anyway, we'll collect all those, go into our inventory. Abelard, you already have a cape. What is it? Grants +5 fellowship for each enemy in a 2-cell radius. I don't think you need fellowship in combat. So we'll give you this. So when we use Heroic Axe, it'll start boosting his dodge. Argenta. We'll grab it. Why not? Then we have a big fancy cloak. It is the Rogue Trader's cloak. And then Gloves of Endurance. Whenever the wearer of these gloves gets an injury or falls unconscious. Hopefully that doesn't happen to any of us. But in case it does, I think Abelard is the one that's going to be taking the most damage. So most likely to get to use it.
A new challenge for me.
Is there nothing to loot? Also, let's get the whole party moving around. Yeah, it seems like there's nothing to loot of any of these bodies, which is a shame. Because nothing's highlighting. Bridge officer. How's it going? We won? We won! Of course we won. We're servants of the Emperor. We never lose. So yeah, we don't know where Votbeer went. I also don't see where we're supposed to go. I guess this direction. Okay.
The heir is dead. He sacrificed himself to save the entire dynasty.
Yeah.
Old man, he was never going to make it. He was mutating right in front of us. You just ended his suffering sooner.
Yeah. We saw him mutating a while ago. So we knew he was reaching the end of his usefulness.
Follow my lead.
So yeah, he just finished sacrificing himself. So we need to find the helmsman.
Rover, Master Helmsman, systems status report.
By the Emperor, it's the Seneschal, living and breathing. Oh, well, there's a tricky question. The old place is so overgrown with foul wickedry, we'll be scrubbing it off the vid screens for throne knows how long.
The white-haired man with sickly pale skin salutes you. How do people survive in here? We need to reestablish contact with the Navigator Sanctum as the only chance of escaping the warp. We'll ask how they survive first. We do need to do that, but try and figure out what's been going on with them.
Must have been Providence. It better have been the Emperor's, not someone else's.
Ha!
When they barged in here, the ones with the Master of Whispers, some officers charged them, but it wasn't even a fight. I grabbed whoever I could and dragged them behind the cogitators. Then, I prayed for our rescue.
The man glances around the bridge, so they just hid. Alright, well, we need to reestablish contact with the Navigator. It's our only chance of escaping the warp. Your words seem to knock the officers out of their stupor, and the air around you fills with voices and commands being issued. You hear someone sobbing, one of the survivors buckling under the stress. Abelard cuffs the crying officer without even looking.
Restore the Fox channel to the Navigator Sanctum. Ready the crew. Prepare for translation to real space. You may call me superstitious, but translation is not a good time to disregard rules. You are the only one who speaks for House von Valancius. You may not be the Lord Captain, but you, more than anyone else, deserve to take her place in the ritual that is about to commence.
Abelard pauses for a few seconds before turning to you, and then he directs your attention upward to the throne that sits at the apex of the tall staircase. Alright, what must I do?
Take the Lord Captain's seat. Order the final preparations. Wait for the officers to report. Oh, blast it all to the void! Translation is a craft, not something that can be explained in a tick. Just go up to the throne, Master. These people are about to do the impossible. The least they deserve is the solace of seeing a figure sitting in the usual spot. Oh, please, hurry. Every second we waste is a terrible risk.
Yeah, there is lots that's ritualistic about Warhammer 40k. Like, if you focus on tech priests, they are super big on their rituals. And so, it's not terribly surprising for them to say, translation always has the captain sitting in the seat, so go sit in the seat because you're of the von Valancius dynasty, and therefore chances of this succeeding is greater by having someone sitting in the throne, even if they're not doing anything useful. Alright, I'm ready. Let's begin the ritual. So I am not, even though the Lord Captain is dead, I have not been named the new Lord Captain. But I am of the dynasty and therefore a better choice to sit in the throne than anyone else. The image before you is hazy, swaying in sorcerous currents invisible to mortal eyes, as if whatever is beneath this thin shell is constantly changing while still remaining the same. It is taken on the guise of Theodora, but the false rogue trader's eyes reveal the entity's true surreal nature. One of Theodora's eyes is engulfed in otherworldly fire. The other, a vessel of ancient evil, bores into you. A voice seeps directly into your brain without ever reaching your ears, and this voice booms with all the horrors of the warp.
Mortal, who are you to oppose the very flows of fate? It matters not. Your footfalls are an echo of the sand pouring between the scales. Your hopes and faith are my mockery.
The vision lowers its head, its harrowing gaze boring into you. For but a moment, something changes in Theodora's expression. It almost looks like a shadow of fear? Decision consequences. You steeled your soul with your faith in the God Emperor and walked through the flames of the officer's deck, just in time to rendezvous with Adelthrad. And that has made this entity fear us. At least a little shadow of fear. You are to blame for Theodora's death, or I have already resisted the temptation of the warp once. Whatever you are, you will not cloud my mind with a new illusion. Begone, Phantom. Or what do you want with me? No, we're not going to ask what this demon, sorceress, entity, whatever, wants with us. We don't care. We're going to resist it. I've already resisted the temptation of the warp once. Whatever you are, you will not cloud my mind with a new illusion.
Resisting the inevitable means only that realization and submission will bring greater torment. There is no power that can hinder the flows of fate.
Theodore hisses and almost painfully, as if wounded by your words. Interesting.
The aspirant vowed to return with a trophy, a relic that could serve the edge of daybreak. That fate was assured, and the steps chosen. And yet, you broke the unbreakable when you took the aspirant's place. I see you. On the day when the final dawn rises over the Iron Road, I see you by my side on that day. The day of my resurrection.
Your head begins to spin and viscous drops slither down your cheek. You blink, and you are no longer looking at Theodora. It is the traitor Votvir, just as fluid and ephemeral as the previous apparition. The same terrifying voice seethes from his lips. Again, they're talking about this edge of daybreak. I don't know who or what that is. I doubt it's one of the major chaos gods. Probably some demon of the warp, but I don't know. That might be an entity that is well known in 40k lore, but I just haven't heard of them. Or it could be something created for this game. You broke the unbreakable when you took the aspirant's place. Yeah, so Votvir was supposed to get into the warrant chamber, but when we did it instead, we've changed the direction that fate was supposed to go, according to them.
Your image is woven into the tapestry of things to come. I am the will of the weaver of destinies, and today I will weave a new thread of elusive possibilities and fickle chances. The thread that will lead you out of the maw of irreversibility. The thread that will help you find the keys to salvation. The thread that will guide you and the weapon of our return to me.
The image is scattered by invisible sorceress winds, and you see Adira, her eyes aglow with the same sinister flame. Weaver of Destinies is another... clearly another entity they're talking about. I'm wondering if that's Tzeentch, the chaos god of sorcerers and fate, I think. Or maybe a demon of Tzeentch. Unsure. Again, I don't know if they have titles like this, so that people aren't saying the gods' names. Because I know it's superstitious not to specifically name the various chaos gods. So they probably do have titles that they're using. But I don't know if that's necessarily Tzeentch or if that's some lesser demon.
The path is set, child of the dawn. The thread is woven. Follow it, servant of mine.
A cavalcade of hazy glimpses of a future yet unknown passes before your eyes, a flash of crimson, purple. The image replaces one another in a violent kaleidoscope without ever letting you get a proper look at them. Through the rippling mirage, you see a twisted image of Abelard, the loyal seneschal of the dynasty. Obviously fake because Abelard's standing right next to us. Child of the Dawn. I think they have referred to us as that already before. But referring to us as a servant of theirs, no. We are definitely resisting this chaos entity.
Seneschal, the navigator's sanctum is silent. The Vox signal is stable, which means...
Ravo turns around and looks up at you. He hesitates for a few moments, then addresses Abelard, who's standing next to you. So the Vox signal's stable, but they're not hearing anything from the navigator's sanctum, which I assume means that we think the navigator's dead, so they weren't able to hold on long enough for us to get to this point. And if that's the case, if our navigator's dead, then I think we're just doomed to drift through the warp until luck manages to get us out, which would be bad.
The navigator gave his life battling the storm that nearly claimed the von Valancius flagship. We will honor his memory, along with that of all who died this day.
Abelard nods absent-mindedly. Can we get out of the warp if the navigator is dead? Because I thought both the navigator and the helmsman had to work together to help in the translation process of getting out. Or did the navigator get us to wherever we need to be in the warp and hold us there so that the navigator can just take us out of the warp? Or so the helmsman can take us out of the warp, even if the navigator's died, because our ship is now in the right location. I don't know.
Seneschal, we could tell us now. Who is that? Where's the Lord Captain?
Robert does not look away. He is giving you a hard stare, his white brows furrowed.
As First Officer, it is my duty to inform you with the greatest regret and indelible sorrow that Lord Captain Theodora von Valancius is dead. May her memory never fade from the annals of the dynasty.
It takes time for Abelard to respond. You watch as he grits his teeth, unable to bring himself to say anything. Finally, he adjusts his blood-stained coat, straightens, and begins to speak. So, did the Lord Captain Theodora von Valancius name an heir? Because we were potential heirs to the dynasty. But did she ever note... Because there are other heirs as well, besides just us and Edelthrad that were on the ship. And so any of us could be the next Lord Captain. But I assume the Theodora would have had to name an heir. Like, I don't know how it gets transitioned on. I don't think it's just whoever happens to sit on the throne next becomes the new Lord Captain or something. There's probably a process to determine who the next in the dynasty to lead should be.
By right of blood succession, and with the absence of other kin who could challenge this decision.
After waiting out the first wave of shocked cries, Abelard glances at you and continues. Okay, so Abelard is just saying, as the only one here of the bloodline, no one else is here to challenge it. He's just going to name us the new Lord Captain. So we have the option to try and stop him and refuse, or say nothing. We'll say nothing. I'm not going to interrupt. Clearly he's trying to be properly reverent with this statement that he's making. We're not going to interrupt him.
It is hereby declared that the successor to Theodora von Valancius is her heir, the rightful inheritor of the warrant of trade, and the title of Rogue Trader. The official ascension ceremony will be held at a later time. In the interim... have you lost your tongues? Hail your lord. It is because of his toils that we all still live.
Abelard stops short and glares fiercely at the confused officers. So... he is declaring us at this moment that we are now the new Rogue Trader. The ceremony hasn't happened yet. So there's some sort of official ceremony that we still need to go through. But even without the ceremony, we are still now the Rogue Trader. Assuming he has the authority to make that declaration.
The deed is done, Master. My apologies. I meant to say Lord Captain.
Yeah. Seneschal turns to you. He looks at least half a decade older. But we are now the Lord Captain, even without the ceremony. Wasn't expecting this art style.
Whispers was fruitless, but victory came at a great cost. Lord Captain Theodora von Valancius perished along with her heir Edelthrad, and thousands of crew members. Yet hope remained. For the second in line to the Rogue Trader dynasty survived. To hang the ancestral banners once again, and exact vengeance on the enemies of House von Valancius and humanity.
Cargo management. Open the cargo management screen to learn more about the cargo on your flagship, the amount, the types, and the percentages of cargo being filled up. On the cargo tab, you can see details about the items packed in each cargo slot. If you need to use an item that is already packed, move that item back to your inventory. Cargo is needed when trading with merchants. You will meet them soon. Got it. Deep shadows of weariness can be seen on Abelard's face. Though the old officer's eyes are keen, they rake over you from head to toe. He frowns, mutters something, then nods to himself. Well then, your lordship. You had us worried for a few hours there. Abelard offers a thin smile, but after witnessing you fearlessly rush into the fray on the deck, the only thing that surprises me is how long you stayed on your feet. Your strength only left you once the fighting was all over. Such fortitude is admirable in a Lord Captain. Okay, so they're still talking about running into the fire. You must now hold your first officer's briefing in your new role as Lord Captain. For many of those who are about to join us on the bridge, this will be their first briefing. We sustained massive losses among the senior and middle-ranking officers. Some posts have had to be filled by the deputy's deputy, while others go unfulfilled entirely, and now the deck clans are deciding who will take over the leaderless crews. How did we come to lose so many officers? What is on the agenda for this meeting? Have you succeeded in tracking down Voltveer? Wait, Abelard, this is altogether more pressing problem. I do not wish to be the rogue trader. I'm ready to start the briefing some of the officers. I assume we get to go through all of these. I don't think I'm going to use the option of I don't want to be the rogue trader. We're going to do our duty, and we recognize our duty is to be the rogue trader. How did we come to lose so many officers? It appears the heretics were deliberately targeting the vessel's command. They knew exactly whom they were looking for and where they could be found, which is unsurprising given that their informant on board was our own Master of Whispers. Abelard grimaces. What's the agenda for this meeting? Reports on the condition of the ships and crew. The Lord Captain is not usually drawn away from her important affairs to attend such routine briefings, but this is a unique situation. I'm still receiving updates from across the ship, and they are not encouraging. Getting this bird to fly could take a gargantuan effort, even so far as you personally negotiating with the authorities of the system we are currently in. So prepare to hear a bevy of complaints and excuses, your lordship. Take this opportunity to get a good look at the officers who work 6 decks away from the bridge, and they in turn will have the honor of beholding the visage of the Lord Captain. Have you succeeded in tracking down Voltveer? Abelard grits his teeth. No, Lord Captain. In all the commotion, his trail went cold. Our people are still on the hunt for him and any mutineers who may still be skulking in the ship's many corridors, but frankly, I would not be surprised to hear that we are now 1 shuttle short. I'm afraid that it will be some time before he answers for all that he has wrought. Then I'm ready to start the briefing. Summon the officers. With a gesture, Abelard relays the order to the adjutants at the far end of the magnificent chamber. A dozen pairs of eyes bore into you, the expressions revealing restraint, joy, curiosity, and wariness. Attention officers, you have been granted an honor. Lord Captain Ignatius von Valancius will personally conduct today's briefing. Our most gracious Lord Captain is ready to hear your reports. Perhaps you would introduce those present, Abelard? Yawn. I haven't the time to listen to every last officer on this hulking rig. Abelard, give me a precise, what are the major problems and what needs to be done? No, we're gonna learn about these various officers. Perhaps you would introduce those present, Abelard? As you wish, your lordship. Abelard points to a tall, slender woman whose body seems to contain as many implants as it does flesh. Vijdis Suri Ota of the Ptoleman line, our new Vox Master. Vox is a piece of technology for communicating. Is that the tech priest back there? Since they're talking about lots of implants, maybe, but probably not. So, tall, slender woman with implants. Can't see them well enough to guess who he's describing of those. Might be, that looks like a woman up front, though I can't see lots of implants. Oh, yep. They're gonna point him out. Perfect. Voxmaster Vijdis. It is an honor to serve your lordship. The Voxmaster offers a deep bow. Aboard this vessel, you have at your command thousands of crew members and hundreds of officers and section chiefs. I'm responsible for receiving, processing, and sending all communications between you and them, as well as external sources. I am your eyes and mouth, Lord Captain. Beside her is Ravor, the Master Helmsman. He steers our ship along the course set by the Lord Captain and monitors the void around us to ensure that we do not stray into an asteroid field or a pirate trap. The bearded man with pale, almost transparent skin, large dark circles under his eyes, and a dour expression that seems hardwired into his face gives the soul a nod. Hail, Lord Captain. This here's ship's as good as home to me, so rest assured she's in safe hands. I'll die before I let her come to any grief. I mean, she just came to a bunch of grief, and you didn't die, so... And lastly, our High Factorum Janris Danrock, who oversees supplies, procurement, and a general material well-being of the ship. Dressed in an embroidered jacket, the heavy-set man with oiled hair offers a obsequious smile and bows. It is an honor, your lordship. You may trust me with all matters concerning your comfort. Everything will be done to the highest standard. In the second row, we have 3 officers charged with overseeing the ship's vital functions. The Master of Ordnance is responsible for the artillery aboard, the Infernus Master, whose crew work to prevent and extinguish fires on the ship, and lastly, the Drives Master, servant of the Omnissiah. That's the tech priest we're seeing back there. The 3 officers salute you. The Infernus Master does so with confidence, while the Master of Ordnance betrays nervousness. The Drives Master offers a salute resembling a dance, involving a complicated manipulation of all the tech priest mechadendrites. The mechadendrites are the cool arm things like Otto Octavius. You know, that's what those are called. Tentacle-like robotic limb prosthetics surgically attached to the spine. Super cool. Is that everyone? Unfortunately, our choir master, the esteemed Zachary Wise, head of the Astropath section, is unable to join us. He is in charge of communications with distant star systems. Master Wise has been in a trance for some time now, attempting to contact other planets in the Von Valencius Protectorate and inform them of Lady Theodora's passing and Kunran Votvir's treachery. I will deliver a report to your lordship on the Astropath's progress as soon as it is possible to do so. Oh, that's the Voxmaster. I was thinking that was Abelard speaking. Wow, she looks cool. This is our High Factorum. Okay. We didn't get to see their portraits before, I don't think. It is equally regrettable that 2 more individuals worthy of mention could not join us at the briefing. The Master-at-Arms and the Confessor Abelard. Adalbert. The eminent Adalbert must see to the funeral services being held for the fallen officers, of whom there are too many for him to take leave from the chapel, and Mistress Sauerbeck, who has replaced her late predecessor as our Master-at-Arms, is currently leading the search for any surviving agents of Votvir. All others present are adjutants, secretaries, and deputies. They are here to make a record of the proceedings. Okay, I wish to hear the Infernus Master's report. Heinrich Montag. Yes, Lord Captain. The tall man bows his head in deference. I can report that all fires around across all decks, have now been extinguished. The preliminary damage assessment, in terms of material losses and crew casualties, has been completed. The results have been submitted to the Seneschal and the High Factorum. The post passed to him after the previous Infernus Master and his next 3 deputies expired in the line of duty. Abelard remarks in a low voice, pitched for your ears only. The lad is managing well so far. He can take the heat, so to speak. High Factorum, what have you to report? We're toiling day and night to compile a full account of the losses. The task will require next to no involvement from your lordship. I will personally ensure that all damaged components are given into the tech priest's hands for attention, and that all lost supplies are replaced. There's only one resource that I cannot replenish single-handedly, and that is people. We've lost more than 2,000 crew members, and unfortunately, this number is not confined to the scum of the lower decks, which are easily replaced, but also includes trained professionals. We will be able to make up losses on the nearest planet, Rykad Minoris. However, the planet, the whole system in fact, belongs to the Winter Scale Rogue Trader Dynasty. We cannot simply begin recruiting on the planet without first coming to an understanding with the governor. In that respect, I am powerless. Negotiations at this level are a matter for the Rogue Trader. Was it the Winter Scale Dynasty that we were specifically coming here to talk to, but we don't know why Lady Theodora was coming here to talk to them, but I think that's why we were here. And Rykad may be where we were supposed to meet up with the Inquisitor. Interrogator, I guess, of the Inquisition. if I'm remembering that correctly. So we did manage to make it to the right location. I assumed we were just somewhere in the warp and had to just drop out, but it looks like we've actually gotten to the correct location, which is cool. Or at least useful. Especially true given Caligos Winterscale's penchant for attacking first and asking questions later, and the kind of thick-skulled thugs he usually installs as governors on his planets, rumbles Abelard frowning. Drive Master, I will hear from you now. A voice distorted by Vox retranslator emerges from under the tech priest's scarlet hood. Lord Captain, the foes that set upon this noble void ship destroyed the repositories of hundreds of machine spirits. The great warp engine entrusted into my charge is unharmed, thank the Omnissiah, but its spirit mourns its dead brethren. We have not yet identified a prayer protocol capable of assuaging its sorrow and anger. I love that machines actually have spirits with feelings. So good. Warhammer 40k is amazing. With great sorrow, I must also report that Engineer Prime, overseer of and spiritual authority of all tech priests on board, fell in battle. The Magos was betrayed by the little flesh that remained part of him, a most terrible loss. There is no one among my comrades aboard whose experience and comprehension of the sacred protocols equals that of the fallen Magos. We require a replacement, and as soon as possible. So we need a new Engineer Prime, and we can't just elevate someone to that level. Would someone care to translate the esteemed Drive Master's words? The void ship's, or the ship's most senior tech priest, the most senior both in rank and in experience, is dead. If we do not find a replacement, we will be unable to resolve the problems with the warp engine, answers the Vox Master instantly, without even thinking. This is not the first time she has acted as an interpreter between the ship's various inhabitants. Master Helmsman, deliver your status report. Right you are, Lord Captain. To cut a long story short, the outlook is bleak. The ship's sound, more or less, but without an Engineer Prime and Navigator who fell in battle, we have no way out of the system. If we try to set so much as a toe inside the warp, I don't know what'll happen first. Our warp drive being torn to pieces, or all of us melting into the bulkheads. So we are stuck in this system until we resolve both of those issues. We need a new Engineer Prime and Navigator, and we have to find one in this system. Or potentially, I think we still have an astropathic choir, they were saying, so we could possibly send out a call for help to have an Engineer and Navigator brought to the system to help us. But we ourselves can't leave. Seems to be what they're saying. Your Lordship, if you will allow me to interject, when we... Oh, I guess this is a woman. Hard to tell from the portrait, if I'm honest. Your Lordship, if you will allow me to interject, when we arrived in this system, my crew followed standard protocols and conducted a count of all the available communication channels in the region. One of them was a Navis Nobilite station. The station maintains complex Vox silence, but even its presence here inspires hope. To have located a navigator in the very same system is an incredible stroke of luck, a true blessing from the God Emperor. Navis Nobilite, I don't know that term. An ancient organization of noble mutant families whose genes allow them to safely guide warp-capable void ships through the Imperium. So it's a ancient noble family of navigators. Okay, cool. If I were you, I'd grab this chance with both hands, or else you'll soon be eyeing up asteroids to use as your new residence. In slightly less shifty news, we can go round and round this system till our heads are swimming, as long as the promethium and supplies last. And if any thick as grok shit lowlifes come sniffing around, we'll be able to take them out, so don't you worry on that score. Promethium is their fuel. Broad term for combustible fuel in the Imperium of Man, yeah. Master of Ordnance, do you have anything to report? Master of Ordnance gives you a gloomy look. No, my job's simple. Maintain the arsenal and fire where I'm told. But just ask anyone. We've got no crew. No Lord Captain. We have a Lord Captain. I'm sitting on the throne. Hello. Master of Ordnance, you forget yourself. Yes, Abelard. Tell him off. So what? Comes the officer's hostile and bitter reply. It is as if a dam has burst inside and all his pent-up emotions are rushing out of him. The ship's in ruins, every second officer's dead, and now we've got a green Lord Captain who's supposed to lead us to void knows where. Silence! The bridge's magnificent glass panes seemed to tremble under the force of Abelard's roar. Enforcers, seize this mutineer. I mean, super fair. To be insulting the Lord Captain while they're sitting at court, effectively. Like, we can find a new Master of Ordnance. Abelard grunts. If only one officer out of the whole lot has fallen to pieces, then that's not bad at all. Your Lordship, I do humbly apologize on behalf of the entire crew. What would you have us do with the Master of Ordnance? The former Master of Ordnance, I should say. Besides find a replacement, that is, for we already have one lined up. So we get the choice of Iconoclast, Dogmatic, or neither. Iconoclast is stand down, release him. I have no intention of punishing a man for a moment of weakness, not after the terrible attack we have endured. It's a reasonable choice. Dogmatic is execute him. We are going Dogmatic, at least mostly, but I won't necessarily always choose the Dogmatic option. Experienced Masters of Ordnance are few and far between, so for that reason, he may remain in post. I leave his punishment at your discretion, Abelard. I mean, there's something to be said for that. We've lost a lot of officers, and so getting rid of someone seasoned who actually survived the post would be bad. If we can help him recover, that's better. But he says they have a replacement already lined up, which I assume means we've got someone reasonably capable ready to go. I think I'm going to hold off on executing him. Even though that is the dogmatic and usual method of the Imperium, is if anyone disobeys or disagrees with the God Emperor or the God Emperor's servants, they get executed. But instead I'm going to, I don't know, release him? Stand down, release him. I have no intention of punishing a man for a moment of weakness. He still should have some punishment for speaking out against the Lord Captain. I feel like there should be a punishment between these. Like, okay, you will now serve as, you know, a lower gunsman under, you know, several layers of the Master of Ordnance to try and earn favor back or whatever. So we have a choice between no punishment, put him back in his post, or execute him. And no middle ground. I don't know. Like, even Abelard, who is Iconoclast, is still thinking he should be removed and punished. So to say no punishment as the Iconoclast option feels weird. I'm gonna go with execute him. It feels a bit excessive. I mean, it's definitely a bit excessive. But no punishment also feels wrong. And putting him in his post is terrible. So execute him. At least it follows our dogmatic view. Abelard nods stiffly. Consider it done. Take him away. Dogmatic +2. It's not how I would have preferred to have that handled, but we just didn't have an option that necessarily agreed with me. The brittle laughter of the Master of Ordnance reverberates around the bridge as he is led to his fate. To summarize, we've sustained serious losses in crew members, and we require a new engineer prime and navigator. Is this all that is preventing us from continuing the voyage? Precisely, Lord Captain, but bear in mind that this will not be the end of our trials. The ship systems must be properly inspected for major damage, which can only be carried out at Footfall Station, home of the only dockyard in the sector, but we will never reach Footfall without first solving these 3 immediate problems. What do we know about Footfall? The massive void port on the edge of the Koronus Expanse, a notorious hotbed of vice, trade, and rogue trader intrigue. Okay. What can you tell me about the system in which we currently find ourselves? I cede to the Voxmaster on this point. Mistress Tulaman? We are in the Rykad star system, and our voyage here was undertaken on the orders of your lordship's predecessor. There are 3 inhabited bodies in the system, and our attempts to send Vox messages have produced confounding results. The Navis Nobilite station has not simply failed to answer, it seems to be maintaining total Vox silence. However, we did receive a distress signal from the prison planetoid in the system, and Rykad Minoris itself is also not responding to our hails. But what is most alarming is that our augurs have intercepted signals from the surface that seem to indicate ongoing hostilities on the planet. So Rykad Minoris is a planet, but I assume that's different from the prison planet. So are those the 3 systems they're referring to that exist? 3 inhabited bodies, the Nobilite Station, Prison Planet, and Rykad Minoris. The situation is not very encouraging, but without a navigator, a tech priest, and new crew members, we won't be able to travel anywhere. Therefore, we must go to the planet and the Navis Nobilite Station and find out what in the void is going on. Thank you all for your reports. Dismissed. The assembled officers salute you as one. Your lordship, there is one other thing. A confidential matter of the uttermost importance. Lady Theodora, Abelard hesitates, your eternally esteemed predecessor, brought the ship here to the system for a reason. She was given a secret commission. You perhaps are wondering who has the authority to commission a rogue trader to do anything? And I shall tell you. The Lord Inquisitor, the hand of the Emperor, the chief architect of his will in the Koronus Expanse. I would be honored to fulfill the Inquisitor's commission. What is it? He asked of Theodora. I came across a strange handwritten letter on Theodora's desk. It was signed XC. You're referring to the contents of that note, I presume. Is that so, and what is the task with which she was entrusted? Or what if I choose to simply ignore this so-called commission? No, we are honored to fulfill the Inquisitor's commission. What is it he asked of Theodora? That's too much reading. My voice is starting to give out. Lady Theodora was to seek out the Lord Inquisitor's right-hand man, one Heinrich von Kalox, an interrogator, you understand. All I know is that he is somewhere in this system, that we must find him and offer him whatever assistance he requires, and then deliver him to Footfall in the Furibunda system. Finding him without any more information to go on will be difficult indeed, but an Inquisitor is an important individual. The authorities in the system, either the Navis Nobilite or the Governor on Rykad Minoris, may know something. That is all of it, your lordship. You have a great deal of work ahead of you, but it is a mere taste of the daily burden of the rogue trader. Soon you must take up the reins of the Von Valencia's protectorate. Abelard gives you another scrutinizing look, as if to gauge how long you will hold out under this mountain of problems. His face softens slightly, and it seems he is about to offer some words of encouragement. Adira, Sister Argenta, explain yourselves. The Sister of Battle grimly nods towards Adira. The psyker is suffering some ailment, or dark madness. She insisted on seeing the rogue trader. I judged that it would be unwise to leave her unsupervised. For a brief moment, Sister Argenta's voice sounds hesitant. I was also hoping to approach you with a personal request, but it can wait. Speak with me when you have the time, rogue trader. Adira's glazed eyes rove over those assembled. One word bursts from her lips. Daybreak. Is daybreak one of the terms for the demons? Or whatever entity Voltvir was serving? I want to say that it's related, but don't remember for sure. Adira, come to your senses. Abelard, bring the witch to heal. There's nothing else of value to report. I declare this briefing concluded. No, we'll first ask her ourselves to come to her senses. Adira, come to your senses. Damn it. Adira presses her fingers to her temples in desperation. Your lordship, here's the thing. I was trying to see the immediate future, and it hit me so hard my head is still spinning. Something very strange is heading our way, and I can't make out what it is, no matter how hard I try. A single word is all I can make out. Daybreak. Or maybe it's dawn? And it's ringing and ringing like an echo, like a bell. But if it's daybreak, then why is it so dark? We cannot extract any information of value from a single word. Can you tell us anything else, Mistress Talas? No, not yet anyway. The voices are going berserk, all shouting at once. I can't make sense of any of it. As soon as I know or sense anything, I'll report it, alright? Lord Captain, if you want me to take a closer look into your future, find me on the bridge and we can talk. Lady Theodora was well served by my whispers on many occasions, and I'm sure you would benefit from them as well. The psyker's bitten lips stretched into a wry smile. If there's nothing else of value to report, I declare this briefing concluded. It is time to get to work. Alright, that was a lot. Oh man, there is so much on this bridge. Most of these are unnamed people, so I don't need to talk to them. Use the system map in the... Come back, dialogue. Use the system map in the center of the bridge to issue orders to the crew. Okay.